Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic.
So there was a huge bad accident today
Where?
on Craig.
Oh, yeah. The three idiots hit each other.
And they followed, it's proof that they followed too closely. The car was under the SUV. Under.
It didn't have any front end left.
He had to be moving at a good clip and really close because he goes to hit the brakes and boom, he goes under the car.
But it was clear that there had been a third car involved that clearly left the scene.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, it makes me wonder if they had to be somewhere, like work or whatever, so they gave their
Left them their
insurance
info.
information and just had to go, and their car wasn't severely damaged, but it was really weird that the third car wasn't there. And you can tell because the middle car, the front and back were smashed.
And one of the things about a situation like that is that technically, in my opinion, the guy in the front caused the accident by jamming on his brakes. But the guy in the middle and the guy in the back weren't following properly, so they hit the person. It could have been avoided if they gave the proper gap between cars.
That's why I make my space and get all salty when people get into it.
But that's the problem in this city, is that you give yourselves like a 5-second gap and someone fills it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And then the other thing around here that it works in lines, it works when people are walking, it works in cars, it works in lines at drive-thrus.
These assholes can't merge.
They don't know how to merge.
They can't merge onto the freeway. They can't merge when they're effing walking.
Nope.
Dumbest idiots in idiot land. There's a spot on the 15 freeway right next to the strip right now where there's a crap ton of construction, and you have to merge over. And all these idiots don't pay attention to the first sign that says left lane closing ahead. They speed at top speed up to the very front and then try to jam their way in, and they cause this big old giant massive clusterfuck of doom that slows everything down. And it's because of that, because the second you get past that point where the cones
It opens up.
It opens up and everything's fine. And it was the same thing after the Golden Knights game the other night. We were walking, and the path got a little bit narrower, and these people didn't know how to merge together to go. Like, why is there a herd of people not moving at all? There's no reason for this herd to be completely stopped.
Yeah, it's because people are selfish. It always comes back to that. But they also truly don't know how to do certain things. There's no clue I'm sorry, I beat this dead horse all the time. But when you go to goddamn Dutch Bros, most of them only have 2 lanes. Ours is special and has 3 lanes. But even then, they mostly only have 2 lanes. Why are you going to be, let's say it's a 2-lane Dutch Bros, and one person is lined up in line number 1. Why is the next person going to go into line number 1 and then the next person into line number 1 when it says to go to the shortest line? And why do they want you to go to the shortest line?
So that you
can zipper.
Merge.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But these bozos go in the wrong line, and then they get angry if someone goes in the other line. And you know what? The long and the short of it, this is how I feel about it. If I go in the wrong line and I end up in the longer line, and someone who comes after me gets in front of me, I made the wrong choice.
It happened to me at Chick-fil-A that other day when I went to get us lunch. I got into the line that was a little bit longer by accident, and then the person in front of me in the line ordered like $200 worth of sandwiches.
But
so
see,
I got passed by a bunch of people because I went in the wrong line, and I got karma smacking me by the person in front of me ordering all that stuff.
See, I wouldn't have gotten mad at the person that got in front of me that came after me, but some people do.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of your own choice that you ended up in that situation.
You're the idiot who went in the wrong line.
You made the wrong choice. It happens
Just
sometimes.
like I don't like to let all those people in on the freeway where it merges over like that, because they're the idiots who decided that they were going to push all the way to the front. I hugged the bumper like a champion.
If you're
the car in front of me.
zippering, they should go between you and the car in front of you and behind you. They shouldn't get 2 of them in front of you.
I'll let one in. That's fair. I will let one in. Unless they're a real McDick. Then I won't let them in.
And even though that's probably not the right way to handle it, I get it. I would handle it the same way. But people will tell us that's the wrong way to handle it.
I don't care. They don't have to live my life.
I think in general, people in society, they do and say things without really thinking about what they're saying. So there's a certain somebody that I left a comment on their post, and I was not mean. And of course, all of these certain type of people come out of the woodwork and start attacking me, but then say, you need to be more polite. How can you attack somebody and then tell them they need to be more polite?
Yeah, they're saying all the awful things to you.
And then expecting to say, oh, you need to be polite.
I'm going to add that to the list of reasons I don't go on TikTok, because the people are a-holes.
That's not on TikTok, though.
Seriously.
I
also don't go on Instagram, so it's fine.
But the point here is, I said something nice. Not nice, but nicely.
I was like,
yeah, sorry. I meant to say
nice.
nicely, and I just don't know why my brain wandered. But I said something in a nice way. Mm-hmm. And then I'm getting chastised for saying it. Now, hundreds of people have liked my comment. Hundreds.
Which is hilarious.
But this particular group of people, they're all the same type of person. And they're very much the, F that kind of person type of person.
Yep. And they're all the same type of person as the person that you made the comment on. So they're doing gotta back each other up.
Exactly. Gotta have each other's back. Bro.
You are not a butt crack. You don't have to have a random internet personality's back.
Yep. And that's the problem. And it's like people they react. They don't think. Because, like I said, how are you going to tell somebody to be polite while being completely impolite?
How did we get to Instagram assholes from people who can't merch? It's a weird
Because
thing.
maybe pay attention to the conversation. I said that people today don't bother to think things through. Like merging is something they're not thinking through. And then I used as an example what happened to me. Now, can we get back to the show?
Go right ahead.
How you missed that is beyond me. We clearly went down a path.
I didn't miss it. I was making a comment that it was crazy that we made the transition.
But it isn't crazy.
And
I'm going back to the other way. So these people, they don't think things through. They find themselves in trouble all the damn time because they don't think things through. They just react. They do whatever. And it's the same exact thing over there. They just react.
Idiots without brains. Pretty common theme on this show.
Idiots without brains is probably, if there were no more idiots without brains, we wouldn't have anything to talk about. It would just be 20 minutes of silence.
I don't think anybody would listen to that.
Nah. Although there'd probably be one or two weirdos out there who would use it for some kind of mental therapy.
Who just want to listen to two people awkwardly breathe into microphones.
Or exactly. There's always that weird person.
You could classify that as ASMR.
Yeah, I finally learned what that was.
It's awful.
Yeah, but I finally learned what it was. I didn't hear any of it, but I learned what it was.
It's one of those things. Okay. Clearly I'm in the age range of people and the gender of people that are targeted by the people who make ASMR videos, which I find horrifying. Anyway, so I get them all the time on Facebook Reels, but I don't watch anything with sound ever. So I didn't really realize that I was watching them. Like those rug cleaning videos I watch. If you turn the sound on, they're aggressively amplified rug cleaning sounds.
Oh my God.
I find it so irritating.
Why do people like that?
People say they find it relaxing.
But why? What's relaxing about it?
I don't know.
That's irritating to me.
It makes me aggravated on every level.
Do you know what I think? You and I are so alike that if we're both agitated by it, then there's something about our type of person that doesn't get along with that.
I thought it was just because I'm really sensitive to sounds in general. If you're talking loudly and the TV is loud, and then Bree starts squeaking her toy,
yeah,
I can't
take your
focus
wrath
on
out on Bree.
any of the things. I can no longer hear any of the things.
I'm kidding. She just asks Bree to stop squeaking. Then she tells me to be quiet. Then she turns to her remote control and starts lowering the volume on the TV. She does all of these things simultaneously at the exact same time, by the way. It's quite the thing to watch.
Actually, I yell at the Saras to stop squeaking, and then I tell you to pause the TV if you're going to keep talking. If you really want the blunt way that this is handled. I do not tell it to you in the nicest way possible. I'm fully aware of this.
No, you don't.
But I don't mean it in a bad way.
Have you noticed something? That's never caused an argument. Not once.
Because I don't mean it in a mean way. I just want you and the TV to collectively stop overwhelming my senses.
Here's the point I was going to make. You might think that was a random comment, but I actually have a point to make behind that. When someone tells you something bluntly, a person who like then smiles afterwards at you and chuckles with you, they're not saying it to you to be mean and rude. It could perfectly well be considered mean and rude.
Maybe they're just not capable of coming up with the words to make it flowery and full of hugs.
But you're supposed to understand where they're coming from. Aren't we told that all the time about, it's all about their feelings? Then why aren't you thinking about my feelings when I said what I said?
Isn't it easier when people just come out and say things like how they mean them?
Why beat around the bush?
I could be like, husband, I really am enjoying listening to everything that you have to say, but you and the television are making me very overwhelmed together. So could you please turn the TV off? I could give you 17 sentences like that, or I could just
say pause the TV if you want to keep talking.
And get it over with.
And that's my point. It may come off or sound to people as rude. You could even come off and sound rude to me, but I'm not going to get upset about it because you're being expeditious. You're getting to the point, and you're not, quite frankly, you're not leaving any room for imagination.
No.
And that's what is that called? Clear communication.
It's something that's truly aggravating me, which it really does. It feels like I'm being drowned in an ocean when that happens. So it's
But really I can understand.
Uncomfortable. And I would just like to stop as soon as possible. So why am I going to draw it out and leave room for you to not understand what I'm saying, right? I totally agree with all the words that you've said.
What I find interesting about that is that I can totally understand why it would make you feel that way. And I can understand how scary that is and whatnot, but I've never experienced it. So I can't actually say, I get it, but I do get it. I know why it would make you feel that way. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. It's happened to me too before. Where just there's too much noise and you're just like, I can't think.
Right.
That's why there's certain places that are really comfy, like coffee shops and whatnot that are really comfy, but that I would never work in because they're too damn loud.
And then you find great coffee shops like Bungalow, which is like the perfect place to work.
Yeah, and they keep their music on, but you don't hear it if you put headphones on. Right. At all. You don't hear it at all.
And quite frankly, if you don't have headphones in, you can ignore it. Like, it's at an ignorable volume.
Yeah.
It's there so it's not uncomfortably silent. You just listening to people slurp away at their coffee, which...
We get to go there tomorrow. I just realized that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I like that. All right. Well, to finish up our starting point, people need to start to think and learn how to do zippers and understand that it's not really cool to be the jerk that runs to the outside lane and tries to push in when you know that lane's ending. Like,
you're getting to your destination 0.0001 seconds faster. Was it really worth being a huge jackhole?
And risking people's lives. And that's why you'll see sometimes, I was reading something about this in the press, what is it called? The Review Journal.
Yeah.
Sometimes nowadays you'll see, instead of the cones just gradually coming in from your left and then cutting off the lane, they'll just aggressively go, kabam,
that's why the freeway is.
And they do it like that. And they do it like that because they want that first person to have to react, not sit here and have time to roll over and then push their way in. Because that's what happens. Because that's what they do. They get just a little ahead of you. And then the cones are pushing. The cones are pushing them over. So they just slow roll like, this is all I can do. Even though technically what they're doing is against the law. They're merging into your lane, into you. But no one's going to stop them for that.
And it's the reason that people are dicks and don't let people in, quite frankly.
Yeah. People do that shit.
Because you're nice and you let one person in and then all of a sudden 17 other assholes take advantage.
The one thing, I've driven a lot of places in this country, and literally the only place I've ever seen this has been here. And that's the people who, like, sometimes there's islands.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a little cutout.
Yeah.
So you can turn left.
Uh-huh.
The people coming from the other direction use it to turn their own left, even though they're not supposed to. And they're really lucky that nobody comes there at the same time.
Yeah.
And plus, a lot of the time, the little left turn lane entrance, which they use as the exit, is a good 50 feet behind a driveway. So they got to drive 50 feet on the wrong side of the road. I've seen it here so many times. Never seen it anywhere else. Ever. Not once.
Today? Yeah. So today when I was driving to drop off those packages,
yes,
I've never been in the Smith's parking lot before. It's a weird place to turn in. Mm-hmm. So you have, like you mentioned, the little turn lane thing. And then it's tree lined down the middle, so it's really hard to see. So I was there for a good while. This crazy little old lady decided she was going to U-turn right there in the little tiny space. And I'm like, if you hit me, I'm going to fight you. What are you doing? I honked at her. And then she had to sit there and she waited so she could U-turn after I finished turning.
Wow. I don't know, man. It's an educational process and people need to start going down that road. And I don't know what Dutch Bros was thinking putting 3 lanes there.
Clearly it was a failed experiment, though, because the manager
told us
it was an experiment.
About how terrible it is. Yeah.
The manager told us it was an experiment, and none of the new ones they've built have it.
Nope. The one I think of is the one here, where it's just 2, and they had room for 3.
Both of the ones that have opened near us lately have 2.
Just 2. I don't like how the new one is over there on Ann Road. I think they allow you to make too many choices late in the game.
Yeah, the island needs to start sooner.
But anyway, that's the thing about people here. That's the thing about people everywhere. They're just stupid.
Guess what? I can smell the lasagna. Good night, everyone.
Hasta bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.